In the previous section, I said that we would move into looking at the 7 principles, 7 themes, and 7 processes, which is what we're going to do now by moving on to the 7 principles at the highest level. I have a friend who says, I have principles, but if you don't like them, I have others. Now that's funny. But in the case of PRINCE2, there are 7 principles that if you don't have them, you can't have others and still call it a PRINCE2. PRINCE2 at a minimum requires you to have a continuous business justification, to be learning from experience, past and current, as you go forwards, to manage by exception and not by just reporting every detail that's going on, to have defined roles and responsibilities in your management board, and to focus on products and not activities, to manage by stages so that you have clear boundaries you have to cross at particular points in the project with approvals from the board. And then, very importantly, that you are able to tailor the project to suit the project management system to suit the project. A simple, straightforward, short project with a couple of people doesn't require the same amount of governance as does a technical, complex, longer running project with a number of different resources from different organizations. These are the principles that must be present in your project. The 7 themes of PRINCE2 correlate significantly with the 7 principles of PRINCE2. What we see is the business case, for example, ties right back to the business justification, that we have to have the ongoing business justification of the project. That means this business case that's developed in the project startup is then carried throughout the project as that continued business justification. The organization theme goes precisely to the definition of roles and responsibilities and the makeup of the project board. The theme of quality is not only the quality of the product of the project, but it's the quality of the project process itself. But process assurance in the project is separate from quality assurance. And in this case, it's referring to ensuring that you have the right process in place to manage the quality of the product throughout the life cycle of the project. Plans cover not only the project schedule, but also how you're going to manage the project. What is your project management system? How are you going to do risk management, quality management, scope management, etc.? Risk is risk management, which is absolutely critical in my mind and one of the most overlooked themes in terms of the quality of the definition and also the quality of the ongoing risk management process. That the risk assessment does not only happen once, but that it happens regularly, and that would be during the management stages, but most definitely as you are managing a stage boundary. Change, of course, is a major part of any project, particularly the more complex or longer projects, is how are you doing your change control? How do you keep a log of possible changes, requests for changes? Not all changes on your log will become changes. Smaller ones might be just accepted and noted. Others might need investigation and approval from the board. The progress theme is all about your management system in terms of defining your products and defining and tracking your progress and reporting your progress against the plan, and is one of your measures as you come to managing the stage boundary that is necessary for the board to look at the big picture and decide if this project should continue into the next stage. The 7 processes of PRINCE2 have to be there. They are the life cycle and the management cycle of a PRINCE2 project. So we have to think about having the startup process which is when you get commissioned by an executive or by the program management office, the portfolio office, or a customer who's asking you to look at whether a particular project would be feasible to produce a particular product or service or a type of change. The startup is that where your business case is first outlined, where you're looking at the project management organization, you're looking at lessons learned from the past which should be included in your assessment of the feasibility of this project. If you go through the startup phase and the board or the sponsoring executive decide that this should go forward as a project, you will have two things happen. You will go into the initiation stage, and concurrently you will be appointing the board who will be responsible for directing the project. So your project manager will be assisting in appointing the board, and the board will be providing guidance and direction to the project manager as he or she initiates the project. The initiation phase is where you are now defining your management system. You are creating a project initiation document, which is a living document, which makes the name a little bit interesting, because for me it's a project definition report. It's something that goes beyond initiation, because it has to be a living document if there are managed changes going on in the project scope, time, duration, the way that you're going to manage the project. You have to keep this document current. But it is through the project initiation that you develop all of your management systems, and you refine your plan and your schedule, and what are your management stages and your milestones and your boundaries, and at which point do you do that. So that's all happening in the initiation stage. You go into managing the project by stage, which means that you're controlling a stage as the project manager, and at the end of stages you're also managing the stage boundary, which is consolidating everything you do know from having been controlling the stage and putting it together into a report to go to the board to seek their approval of what has been done and their authorization to proceed into the next management stage. In the processes, there is a process called managing product delivery. That is not on the project manager. That is on a team leader or a team manager within a work stream. We can often confuse it and think that, well, managing product delivery is the project manager's role, but in PRINCE2, it is referring to the team manager's role. Of course, sometimes the project manager is the team manager as well, due to a specialization or resource shortage. But in general, it's to understand that the project manager is controlling the stage, and in the stage, the various team managers are delivering the products within their work stream. Having done that, you are looking at the closing stage or the closing process, and that can be in the penultimate stage or the final stage of the project, where you are bringing together all of the final delivery of the product, and at the same time treating it as coming to a stage boundary, which happens to be the closing of the project, or you actually have a closing stage. So you could be coming to the end of the last product stage and compiling all the information which can prove to the board that this project can close, and the board can then authorize you to go ahead with all of the closure activities, such as releasing resources, consolidating invoices, having the suppliers paid, making sure that the project product is handed over into business as usual, into the users, and then you have completed the 7 processes of PRINCE2. Let's get going. We're going to go into looking at the 7 principles first, as they are the foundation. Then we will look at the 7 themes, and then we will look at the 7 processes. This means that in the process of this primer for PRINCE2, we will look at 21 different aspects of a PRINCE2 project, and that should be enough for us as a primer to help us jumpstart any studies we want to do and to engage in meaningful conversations with those around us.